Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I am Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
Pretty good, my friend. And we are Hear Us Out, and we are talking about Loki. Not just the character, but Loki, the TV show that has just ended on Disney Plus. I should call it the streaming series from Marvel on Disney Plus. Which, if you haven't been keeping up, Disney Plus is this little streaming service that Disney were just trying out to see how it would go. It's been a fairly decent success. And they've been floating out Marvel series, Star Wars series. They're doing all sorts of stuff. Loki is their latest attempt. We're going to have a talk about what we thought of it, but also maybe talk about where it sits in the pantheon of all the great MCU content. So, Paul,
Yeah.
first off, you want to get the housekeeping out of the way of this is a spoiler zone now.
Yeah. Completely spoiler area. So if you want to listen, if you haven't seen the last episode of Loki yet, I'm sorry, but cut this off and head on over, watch us, and catch us on the on demand.
Yeah, please
which
come
is
back after you've watched it
yeah.
because we love you.
Yeah, and then also it also will be spoiler warnings for Marvel movies, and also possibly or more than likely WandaVision, and also Captain America and or Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And knowing us, possibly Event Horizon and
Yeah,
something
no.
else, just because we'll randomly end up talking about it. So spoilers for everything ahead. You'll excuse me, I have a tickle. Paul, I want to shout out Brew straight in there. Sup, Brew? How you doing? Irish Power. Also saw you on Twitter. Interested in this episode. I'm looking forward to hearing from chat and what they thought of it. Any of those that have seen it. Brew, I don't know if you have. I'm thinking you may not have because I know you're not necessarily a Disney Plus dude. But I'll be interested in your thoughts on this kind of. It's not an experiment. This new world of big cinematic universes that now have supporting TV universes that maybe are not even supporting anymore. They're just part of one big ball of content. So there's a lot to cover and there's a lot to be interested in, even if you haven't seen Loki yet. For those of you who don't know Loki or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Loki's Thor's brother. He's the guy that Tom Hiddleston plays. He started off as a bit of a scamp, bit of a villain, became very, very popular with all the fans, all the new fans, let's say. Is still a villain at heart, but is a very lovable villain. So a perfect choice for a TV show to get his own show, essentially.
Yeah, like that's a he's a person you can't trust at all times.
Yeah.
Essentially. So yeah.
The most untrustworthy man you'll ever meet, but quite charismatic and fun along with it. Lovable rogue, lovable scampy rogue. Brew, you don't have Disney. It's all right. You'll get caught up just by listening to us. Paul, I don't know if you want to go straight to it and say whether or not you liked or didn't like Loki, but if you want to get that out and say why, I think maybe that's where we can start our review. What do you think? Are you generally positive or negative, and what are we about to hear from you?
So overall, liked it. Liked it a lot. Like overall, kind of thing. I have a lot of kind of qualms about certain aspects of it. Not to do with the not to do with the content, I guess. Just to do with the yeah, okay. Well, I don't know why I'm jumping around this.
Are you going to fanboy this now on me? Am I going to have to point to our previous video where it's like, this is not the comics, this is the TV series?
No, not that at all. No, I'm going to jump on the fact that there's only 6 episodes.
Gotcha.
So like, yeah, it felt like it just got started, and then it was done, and now I have to wait for a second season.
Which has been confirmed. By the way, which isn't the case for the other 2 big Disney Marvel shows. In fact, I forgot. I've even got like imagery and stuff lined up, so it's not just our faces. Yeah, Paul, I don't know why you work with me at all.
What's wrong with?
It's what's wrong with our faces. That's not a question you want to ask where people can actually type in an answer. Those are the sorts of rhetorical questions that become not rhetorical very quickly, and then we'll have a complex.
Come at me, internet. What's wrong with this?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? This face of mine?
Huh? I'm just thinking they'll say it and won't say which one of us, and I'll assume that they're talking about me. I'm a fragile man. Take it easy. Seriously though, Loki.
Yeah.
If 6 episodes was not enough, that's a pretty good endorsement in one way, because you're like it was getting going, you were getting into it. Now I have the same feeling when it comes to Loki. It's the shortest of the 3 shows, is what I was saying, because WandaVision that came first, it was 8 or 9. Same thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Loki, I think, weirdly, it felt like not a movie being broken up into TV. It's the one that felt like it didn't know how to be made for the platform that it was on. It felt like a cross between the old movie making style and this new kind of, we're now allowed to tell stories over a little bit of a longer period. We also have to have an episodic format. I think it's the one that struggled most in its sectioning, let's say, of all the shows.
Yeah, no, completely agree. It really feels like, yeah, it doesn't understand, or it's maybe it's it's an assumption from us, like. Yeah, I think I said that word wrong.
No, I know what you mean. It's what we're putting on it.
Yeah, I think we assume to, like, from a TV's perspective, that it's going to be spaced out a little bit more and stuff, whereas we got, to my mind, it was quite quick. It was like, first of all, we got introduced to the basics of the TVA. The next episode we got a little bit more TVA, a little bit more character development, and then the introduction of the Enchantress. Kind of thing. So like it was like every episode was bam, 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 except for number 3, which was the weird one. That was the one that slowed everything back down again, and then we ramped up hard. Like, my problem is that although it makes me feel, it made me feel wanting more, it also makes me feel like unfulfilled.
Okay. And
that's, I think,
weirdly, I kind of concur, possibly for some of the same reasons and possibly for some different ones. I think you bring up a few things there just so that we can give the show a fair review. I think their main character, what they did with Loki, taking him from the point in time, thanks to Endgame, that's actually further back in time than we'd seen him in the cinematic universe, because we'd got to see his death in the cinematic universe. This is why we said spoilers at the start, folks. We're going to spoil everything. If you didn't know he died, he did. Technically, a couple of times. I think they did that transition quickly and well. I think they got into the Time Variance Authority, the TVA, really well. Made it quite intriguing. Loved the aesthetic. I thought production design deserved a good pat on the back. They, over a very short space of time in the first few episodes, introduced the characters they needed to, set the table for what they needed to have you go along with, and rushed really through some very, very difficult things to do, which is take an older Loki who was still quite malevolent and hadn't, realized the error of his ways, and accelerated cleverly through showing him his own life and showing him his death, giving him a character in Owen Wilson's Mobius that he could be friends with, and create that bond that, in the movies, in the cinematic universe, we'd got to see him have those relationships form and have affection for people, which helped change who he was. I was very, very impressed. So halfway through the season, I was very impressed that they did so much, so quickly, so well, so you could just get on with it. And around episode 3 and 4, I was like, man, these guys are really doing great. But that's when I remember saying to you after one of our recordings that week, gosh, Loki's going well. They've only got 2 episodes to wrap this up. I'm a bit worried about that. And I wasn't worried after the 5th episode. Last night, yesterday, when I watched Loki, the final episode, I started to feel like the wheels were about to come off. And they didn't for me in the end. But I will say that I came out of it feeling, I wish that wasn't the final episode, same as you, because it's not a good way to end. I didn't feel like it was a great ending for what they built up to.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, couldn't agree more in the sense that, like, it feels like it feels like they wanted to leave it on a cliffhanger kind of thing, but they couldn't decide on what the cliffhanger was going to be. So the cliffhanger we got was essentially a piece of information that we already knew about, and just the locale or version of that was the problem.
Mm.
You know, kind of thing. Like it's just like, oh yeah, you're at the TVA, but it's not the TVA that you're from, kind of thing. You know, which was just like, okay, so the audience knows more than most other people. We know as much as Loki does. We know that he's not like, yeah, but the cliffhanger is kind of obvious.
Well,
So
yeah, they spent 5 episodes quickly introducing a very small cast and doing it well, making okay. TVA. We didn't really go into it. For those who aren't familiar, this is about multiple timelines, time travel, and the idea that there's a timeline that must be preserved. So there's this authority that are going and taking people out of timelines and fixing whatever they've just done wrong that would create a spur or a branch from the perfect timeline. So that's the rough premise, badly told. But
yeah.
the intrigue that's built is around what who's behind it all, the timekeepers, these all powerful things. But really, the show did a great job of centering itself around its title character, because they had Loki and Lokis. They had variations of Loki. In fact, I can maybe pull something up that's worth seeing for that. So the idea that you have multiple Lokis, that's great. Not only are you talking about your Loki, the Loki that we know, and that's the central piece. You've then got, Sylvie, the enchantress, the Lady Loki, whatever people ended up referring to her as. You had her story, but it's still a Loki story. Everything was a Loki story. So it was very Loki-centric, which is great. Except in the last episode, they kind of went, now we're going to shift gears. This is going to be about Kang the Conqueror. It's going to be about introducing a big villain that we're going to use again. It's going to be the shift to villain focus away from title character centricness. It jarred really hard. And you know why it jarred? Because it was done so slowly and painfully patiently over a desk. You've got Kang, I guess, one of the Kangs.
The one that who remains.
He who remains, yeah. So you've got this person doing very interesting exposition, explaining a lot of cool stuff. And it's like, this is really cool. But it started feeling wrong because he wasn't exciting, interesting, or quirky enough to capture me to say, okay, I can take all my focus off the Loki story. Because I all of a sudden felt, this isn't really just wrapping up the Loki story. This is opening up the multiverse story. This has ceased being a Loki show right about now, and it's now into the, quantum mania, multiverse madness. It felt like the final episode was quick. We're setting up everything else now.
Yeah, it felt like a massive amount of exposition kind of thing, which was not great, because we'd had. Well, I guess it fits the pattern because, as I said, the third episode slowed down quite a bit, and then the sixth episode slows down quite a bit. So I guess there is a pattern, but it's not. There's not enough episodes in which we get used to the pattern, so we're okay with it. It's more that it ends on the second variant, pardon the pun, second variation of the pattern, which is we slow down in the third. Every third episode we slow down a bit. So, I agree that, it's the main villain person felt like the man behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz kind of styling of thing, and it was just like, this is kind of, he doesn't feel, they make a point about the whole thing is that, if, if we kill him, the branches will go insane, kind of thing, and then will essentially have loads of him, like an infinite amount of hymns, and he's the boogeyman, kind of thing. But when he's talking to us, there is no time where I'm going, oh, this guy is just ridiculously dangerous and everyone needs to be careful about this guy, and we don't want an infinite amount of them. What I thought was just like, why don't they just kill him? Like, instead of just breaking all the branches, why don't they just, every time he appears, just Not to steal like a line from like or a mime from which goes War Machine, but like, why don't you just kill baby Hitler? You
Oh, I
know,
get what you're saying.
kill
Yeah. Well,
kill baby Thanos. Like,
that's the thing. This version, and that's okay. Again, for those who haven't seen it, essentially you've got this Kang character who's now going to be their new Thanos in a lot of ways. One of the big bads behind everything. They'll keep trotting him in and out because he's going to be their time villain and their multiverse villain, or at least tangential to a lot of their future plots in the cinematic universe. Problem is, the guy that we got was quite appropriately not that scary. Because what he's supposed to be doing is telling you why it's so scary. He's the good one. Your choice is, I'm a villain, but I'm not the worst. Because all I'm doing is taking away people's free will with the idea of keeping everybody safe. So he's that kind of, bad guy for a good reason. Or good guy doing bad things, whatever way you want to look at it. And his big foreboding thing is supposed to be, if you kill me, there will be an infinite number of me. And we're all villains, and I'm the good one. Can you imagine how bad the bad ones will be? And that's a great line. Many things have done that really well. We talked about this before. Star Wars with let's face it, when you find out Darth Vader, the scariest man in the universe, has a boss, the Emperor, you're like, ooh. There was no proper sense of that given. Like, it was spoken, but I didn't feel it. I didn't get that sense when they killed him of, oh, you've just unleashed the Kraken. This is it now. We're completely ruined. He didn't. They didn't, and I'm not going to say he. They didn't create enough terror about what is to come. And Thanos showing up in post-credit scenes, looking over his shoulders, grabbing gauntlets, going, "I'll do this myself." That big California raisin had a lot of presence in 2-second snippets. And this guy had a whole episode of exposition, and it sort of blew out its own terror a wee bit. He became too familiar. It's like, that guy's been chatting for about 15 minutes now. Why should I be scared of him?
Yeah, like, and the kind of thing that make us all kind of worried about him is the fact is that he's like, he's able to teleport out of the way of kill shots, and you're just like, great, but it's more scary. And he's just like, oh, I know what you're going to do, kind of thing. It's just like, yeah, but it's more scary when like Thanos just takes the hit. Like, that's more scary. Like, you knowing everything. I kind of expect from a Time Lord kind of person who's seen all of time, that would be the basic thing.
Yeah.
You're not. And as you said, Thanos was the big bad for the Marvel universe, and we had so much build up of him being the man in the background, being like, the one threading all these things together, making all these moves and stuff like that in secret. Like, he's the one who sets Ronan
and Loki.
People.
He's the one that makes Loki the villain of the piece in the Avengers movie. So
yeah, like Loki, Ronan, he's like, it keeps going, and then also, of course, Guardians of the Galaxies and stuff like that, But it's just like,
don't get me wrong,
like,
works on paper. It works on paper. Like, it's absolutely terrifying to think that there are now infinite number of universes, that an infinite number of villains who are the ones that will work out how to cross universes and will end up fighting each other and tearing each other's universes apart. Like, it's all biblically scary if you write it down. It's big stuff. But you have to, it's show don't tell. It's that old movie making thing. They didn't manage to show, they managed to tell. So I know that there's good stuff coming down the tracks, and that's great. But for the TV show that they had, it's a shame, because we've just spent so much time talking about him in that last episode and not really about the ending of Loki's story in that season, or the ending of Sylvie's story in that season, or any of the other variants that we're looking at on screen. That, Loki's are they born losers, or are they born mischief merchants? All the interesting character-driven stuff that they had hung around the title of the show, Loki. So, Paul, again, we're picking on it. I really liked it. I thought it was really good, but I'm going to say that it's in spite of what we've just talked about. that it's really good. I think it had done so much so well that it couldn't be completely tarnished by the stuff that we've just brought up for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think this is one of these things where they've built up enough capital for us that when this, I have a feeling that Kevin Feige probably banked on this being kind of a downward spot. This is a dip, kind of thing. But it's because we've only been allowed to get 6 episodes, So this is a dip, and it's so as I said, they probably planned for it, but they built up enough capital within the series that we were just like, okay, cool, But I'd probably see. This is the thing is, I don't know how I'd feel if this had been played off better, because I might be like 6 episodes was enough.
I get you. If you nail it, if you nail it, two episodes is enough. It's like if you do anything well enough, the amount won't count.
So that was the problem, I think, with the as I said, I overly like this, but there's a very bitter taste in my mouth currently about the series. That it has done enough to make me want to watch the season 2 kind of thing. I don't think I'll be rewatching the season 1 for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Again, until season 2 maybe comes out.
You'll be doing it as prep for season 2, probably. Same as me. That's the next time I'll see it, likely.
Or if Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness really plays off some information that I need to go, I might need to go back and have a look at. You keep calling them Kang,
isn't it? Kang the Conqueror, yeah. I think
he's not. Yeah, this is the interesting thing. Where did you get that from?
Well, he referred to himself as the Conqueror, and I think it's kind of as far as I know, it's implicit that he's been the time kind of villain before. Because I'm not as versed in this as you, so I picked this up all off the ground.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's an interesting because Kang the Conqueror is a time traveler. And the one that remains, or he who remains, is another person.
Yeah,
so
but I think Marvel's doing that thing where they mash a few things together for their show. They pull from a few sources. I don't, because the he who remains thing, that's and again, you would know better than me, but I don't think that's a major player in the comics universe, really, as far as long term anything. Maybe it is. As in, I wouldn't have heard of it before all this.
I guess that's the kind of I'd be interested if they do that, because Kang the Conqueror has a huge big story with Captain America and stuff that would be interesting to play out and stuff like that.
Well, also I know, and this is weird because I know it's him because of the I think it's Ant-Man. They show on when they were doing the Phase 4 release stuff. They had the guy, Jonathan Majors, whatever his name is, the actor. They had him as Kang the Conqueror, and that's the guy that showed up last night. So, they said that he was coming as part of their... when Feige does that, standing in front of a massive cinema screen, talking about future stuff, as only he can, wearing whatever hat he's promoting. Which, by the way, we're not talking about Black Widow, but I have seen it. So, yeah, fair play. I want to throw to the comments just while are you throwing to the comments also? I want to pick one out before it gets overlooked, because Ben, I think, said that we have beautiful faces. So I think the exact words were, those faces are too perfect. Ben, I think of all the great comments I can see here that are actually about the topic, that's the one I decided to pick out. So let's face it, we're learning more about me and my ego, aren't we? Cheers, Ben. Love your face. There's talk here of could it have been a movie? Interesting. Yeah, it could have been a 2-part miniseries. I think that's all valid.
Yeah, the move. Yeah, because the episodes average 50 minutes. So I don't think it could have been a movie.
The other reason I don't think it could have been a movie is I don't think it was cinematic enough in some of its content. It was very beautiful and very brilliant. But I think as a movie, it would have been a hard sell. Like, I don't think Marvel would have the inclination to do a movie that was shot and pasted and shown like this. I think it definitely was made knowing what they were going to do. Now, it definitely felt like it's not something that they were fully comfortable with, so that's why I think it's got movie overtones. But that's just the feeling I got from it. I do want to call it an apology, Kitty Cat, if you're watching this later. If you joined after our spoiler warning, I have realized that we should have had our little spoiler graphic on screen the entire time, and next time we ever do this, we will. So if we ruined anything for you, massive apology. Spoiler warning to anybody who's joining just now, coincidentally. Anything else in the comments there, Paul, that we should call out?
Yeah, just at the announcement. Yeah, this is interesting because I'm interested in this now because I didn't know. I guess I've missed this information that Kang the Conqueror is being played by Jonathan Majors, and that's what. So they are mashing two characters together, kind of thing. I'm interested in this. I don't as a comic book person, I don't know how I feel about this kind of thing, but as we said in one of our last videos about the fanboy kind of things, I'm gonna see how this plays out and kind of thing, and see where they go with it. Because I know Ant-Man generally is going to be the Ant-Man and Multiverse of Madness and stuff like that is going to be the kind of tie-in movies, and then No Way Home and stuff like that is also going to be the like tie-in movies and stuff like that to kind of like I know this is the start of the multiverse stories, within the Marvel universe kind of thing. And
you're giving me a great segue there, to kind of throw up WandaVision, because that's one thing. What Paul has just listed, for anybody who isn't aware, so who isn't into all this stuff as much. The next Doctor Strange movie is called Multiverse of Madness, and it's been made openly. It's very open that Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, is going to be a part of that, and that there's definitely multiverse stuff. The Ant-Man Quantum Mania thing, we know that Kang's going to be in it up to a point that we know now, and that's another kind of multiverse, there's the time bending, the space bending, and the universe hopping, which, in fairness, a little bit was introduced in Endgame in some ways. It's weird because 2 out of the 3 TV shows that we're talking about, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, 2 of them are directly leading up to what they're going to be doing in the movies, as far as directly leading up to the theme of some of Phase 4, which is the multiverse.
Yeah, no, agreed. Like, sorry, I was just reading, just seeing if there's any more things on this Kang kind of business kind of things. So,
yeah. You're caught sideways on that. Well, I think we can definitely talk about that more as it more comes out too.
Yeah, like if we go back, it's interesting, that they're setting this up in the sense that like. So the interesting thing that we've both discovered is that Ant-Man has always been the start of a phase.
Yeah.
But now that they've introduced like deeper direct, because like Agents of Shield have done a lot of stuff prior to this, and it is tied into the universe as well. It's not really out of the kind of the universe. But it's interesting that instead of starting with Ant-Man, that they've decided to start with TV shows to kind of give us a good foundation. Now, the reason that I'm interested in that is it because that they're worried that this is going to be so complex that they need to give us a lot of foundation prior to it, so that because you couldn't do it in one movie and people were already getting annoyed about the quantum realm.
Yeah.
So, like, kind of thing.
Well, also, how many... I'm not even going to say how many movies. It took 3 phases, as they're calling them. And a phase is like, 5 or more movies. 3 phases to get from a mention of Thanos to the end of the Thanos story. That's all of their cinematic universe up to that point. So that's a lot of movies. That's 20 whatever movies it was. Spanning that period of time. They can't afford to have something start in the cinematic universe in phase 4 and wait until phase, 6 or 7, which is another 15 movies from now or more, to then have it all pay off. So I think you're right. I think they're using the TV shows to kind of go, we're going to be able to prime you and prep you with a lot of stuff so that we can hit the ground running that bit harder and faster in the cinema, essentially, and in our movies. So yeah, I think they're using this as a way to do the necessary setup and exposition. Like WandaVision being a perfect example. I really loved WandaVision, and I think it did an awful lot for that kind of, okay, we're going to throw a concept out there. We're going to be very clever, again, like Loki. We're going to be clever in how we show that concept, because they used the kind of the multiple, what would you call it, times of TV, the different eras of television. That's the word I was looking for. But they introduced a lot and got you into a concept in an intriguing way. That would have been very difficult to do in a movie. It would have been very difficult to do in a standalone movie, particularly. Never mind a couple of movies where they introduced it bit by bit would have been jarring. So they can use these TV shows to their advantage, so that when they release a movie, they can their feet are already running before they touch the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in that though, because you'd still have to do some kind of explanation in the movies, because what happens if you're not really into the TV shows?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't leave people blind. But sorry.
No, I was like, yeah, and they take that chance every time that you haven't seen the other movies. They're masters at that. And that's one of the things that I've marveled most about, no pun, marvel most at, is that they're able to do that. You can watch Endgame not having seen anything else, and it's still a self-contained movie that could work on enough levels that it's still enjoyable for somebody who hasn't seen, 22 other movies, which is really, really impressive.
Yeah. I'm interested in the kind of, I guess, to see where they go with the next movie, in the sense of what information do they deem the most important that you could miss the TV shows but you couldn't do without for the movies, kind of thing. So I'm interested in that. But my thing is that going back to Loki, going back to kind of the thing, like, yeah, it's I'm interested in your kind of aspect of, like, yeah, up to the 6th episode we got nothing but character development, character story kind of thing, and then this was a big exposition kind of thing. I do like in the 6th episode that the Enchantress does stick with her.
The vengeance. She basically still goes revenge plot. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like that, because it's very character driven and sticks with the character and stuff like that. Like, I would have probably felt the 6th episode probably would have felt even but worse to me, is if Loki was able to convince her to, like, stay her hand and then something else happens, kind of thing, or he kills her, or there's some, like, it feels natural and it feels good that it continued on that route.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that kind of thing, with that character development, or the character kind of like path kind of thing. Because for all we know, is she now is going to, like, try and stem the tide in some ways, or she's just going to go around every single one of those Kang guys and just try to kill her.
Well, that's the thing. They've now done a great thing there, where she decided, she chose vengeance over love, which, by the way, we've got to stop and talk about in a minute. Being in love with yourself, as somebody who knows about that quite intimately, I can talk about it. But she was literally in love with another version of herself, or at least that's what was suggested between the two Lokis. It's not incest at that point. It felt creepy on at least one level, but felt completely right in every other. I'm really glad that they were like you, that she stuck with that. I'm glad that she followed through, because now she's in the best position any character can be. Her mission, so to speak, was actually followed through on and completed. So what we were introduced to her as needing to do was actually complete. So now we get to see, was that enough? Is she going to, like you say, is she going to be driven by it to have even more? Or is it going to have been that kind of ate all the cake and feel full, or, chased the fire engine and caught it? Is it going to be one of these, I wish I hadn't, and trying to atone for following through on what was her original driver. Whereas if they'd copped out and Sylvie had decided, no, Loki, I'm going to go with you, happy ending, we're not going to kill this guy, or, he accidentally gets killed for the sake of, needing to push what they're going to push anyway, but not have been her choice, I agree with you. It would have undermined, but it also would have left the character with nowhere good to go other than still having an unresolved vengeance issue.
Yeah, completely. I don't see any other way that they could have finished off the story and had which is Kang be killed.
Mm.
I couldn't see it in any kind of way that we could get to essentially that point that wasn't true to one of the other characters, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm really happy that they continued on with that, and I'm really interested in seeing what comes next for that character. Like you are, like, is this going to turn into a redemption arc for her, kind of thing, or is this going to turn into a maddening thing where she now just she's now the Kang murderer, or she just goes jumps around every single timeline and just kills
Kang Slayer. Which is, yeah, I was about to make an Irish regional accent joke about, the Kang Slayer. I'm going to throw over to the comments before I upset anybody from the Midlands or elsewhere. There's talk in here, and Irish, I think it's, yeah, and apologies, there are so many great comments. We're talking, we're not reading them all live right now. We will be going back and reading. But I do want to call out that Jonathan Majors, the guy that plays Kang in this, is a big hit, I see. He was in Lovecraft Country, which I haven't watched, but you have. I am not familiar with the guy, and this is going to sound weird. You're like, and I'm seeing Irish, you're saying you're in. If it's him, you're all in for it because the guy's great. I'm looking forward to seeing that because I don't think it was necessarily his performance, but the situation that they played out, or at least the literal scenario that they played him into. I don't think the actor necessarily let himself down. I would say one thing, he didn't immediately grab me. I did not see him stand up and I was like, oh, there's a Josh Brolin moment or a whatever. There was no, he purposely, I think, seemed a bit more everyman. Now, I'm sure if he's a good actor, and I fully believe you because you tend to be right all the time there, Irish Power. I'm trusting in you that he will be able to bring massive malevolence and massive depth and intrigue to it all. I'm assuming it's the way he was asked to play what he played. Like, part of me, and I said it afterwards to my wife, we watched it together, and I was like, if they'd got like a Sam Rockwell type person, somebody with that kind of weird, there's something behind them right now. They're a bit cheeky, but also a little bit off. Somebody who has just a natural, before they even speak, you look at them and you're like, ooh, there's something going on there that isn't just like everybody else. He didn't have that, and I was like, they should have maybe cast like that. I could be proven wrong in the long term once I know more about the character and what they're going to do. And I have no doubt this guy can act. I did feel it was one of the first things that I came away thinking, did they need somebody who was immediately more intriguingly engaging?
No, I don't think so. I think what they needed to do was to show this threat.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what we were saying earlier. They show don't tell with the forebodingness. And again, like, not picking on him, he did a fine job.
No, I don't. No, I get your point in the sense that, like, Sam Rockwell's got a kind of acting style that allows you to think, like, in Mr. Right, where it's just like he's kind of a happy-go-lucky person, but he's also like an amazingly skilled assassin. Like, you can
somebody
like,
with a glint, a glint in their eye. I don't know what the right phrase is, but somebody with a natural kind of, there's something a little bit. They're 1 degree off somewhere.
It's the Simpsons like Asian mafia guy in the white suit kind of thing where he doesn't move and you're just like, he's going to do something cool.
I want to see what that kind of like.
Yeah, that's the kind of level that we were getting, like, that we were kind of expecting, I guess, from that. Also, anyone who doesn't get that reference, look it up. But yeah, it's essentially just, we didn't. There's nothing there really, like, the technology of him being able to show us, like, him finding out that there's a multiverse is just like, yeah, that's cool, but there's holograms, so you're not showing anything cool. We've seen communication technology like that, and then him moving back and like teleporting away and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we've seen that with the TVA. That's not a new thing you've gotten. And he's just like, yeah, I trained that big, ghost monster thing that just destroys time. And you're just like, cool. We didn't see that long enough to actually give a shit. So, that's also out the window. You need, like,
show,
him, like,
don't tell. Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah, like, even if he just got angry, like, not he did, like, we don't need to show his unbelievable amount of, like, advanced technology or anything like that. Even just the character getting angry,
or scared. Like when
Like-
he described that there's worse of him than him, he seemed smug, not scared. Like that's
Yeah.
the other thing. He didn't project the fear that we're supposed to have, and that's not. Yeah, that feels weird to me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because he couldn't, or it wasn't played off in the sense that his kind of like nonchalanceness was based on confidence. It, kind of thing, like as in
Yeah, or fatigue, whatever way they want to look at it.
Yeah, because like Thanos has this whole like element of kind of like he's so confident in everything, kind of thing, because it is his will and destiny to essentially be that person. This felt like a worse version of Loki, in the sense of kind of like you're kind of seeming like a bumbling kind of person with a lot of exposition, but you're not giving us enough of the kind of like even giving us PTSD, kind of like a Vietnam flashback thing when he's describing the war, even like kind of like the things I had to do to like keep us safe and get us here, kind of things.
Do you know who I'm left? We haven't mentioned them. Who I'm left more frightened of, or that I feel there's more malevolence in? Miss Minutes, the little animated clock. Brilliant. Like I thought that was a great little plot device and a great little expositive device. I thought she was great. I know the voice actress Armstrong, can't remember her first name. She does Powerpuff Girls and all the rest. Brilliantly voice acted, but also wonderfully animated in the style that they used. There's a definite sense of what's that creepy little clock really thinking or no. It's like a scary internet avatar. It was just brilliant. And actually, sorry, Paul, we can't ignore the comments any longer because we're not going to have enough time to go back otherwise. Irish called out something important that I did want to mention, that in WandaVision they're going back and making some changes in WandaVision for anybody who doesn't know. Now I haven't gone back and checked and seen what the changes are and re-upped myself, but apparently they're making adjustments for the sake of their future timeline shenanigans. So these shows definitely are part of their preamble, part of their setup, and part of their prologue for the cinematic universe. So they're going to be using it at every end of everything. Do you have anything that you want to call out there? Because there's so much good stuff, guys. Thank you very much, everybody out there.
Yeah, like Irish Bards calls out like Jonathan Major's been like really really good in a lot of the stuff that he's been in. I agree. Like he is a fantastic actor. Like in Lovecraft, he is perfectly the kind of like he's the kind of person that you definitely want to be in a lot of situations like that with. So there's no way that he can't be able to play off more malevolent or more vicious or kind of versions of himself, kind of thing. It's just that the one we got doesn't seem like they would have been able to win a war.
Yeah, well, that's a really good way of putting it. It doesn't seem like the dude in the room that would have won the war. I will say, though, and I very much, not just because I believe and trust our commentariat, like that actor, it's clear that he can act. I'm more talking about what they gave him, and if that's what they were going to do, they probably needed to go a different direction. But, as has rightly been pointed out in the comments, whoever you choose now is locked in for a long time. So you got to get an actor who's got range and can do it. And they've probably chosen very wisely. Because let's face it, I'm not picking on casting decisions of Marvel. They have a really impressive record. Probably the most impressive casting record of anybody ever in the history of cinema. So I take it all back. Ben did call something really cool out, though. Ben, not just because you said we're pretty, partially, though. Hollywood has learned a lot since the 2000s, trying to use video games to bridge game between movies. So trying to use games to bridge in between movies. Enter the Matrix. Yeah, damn right, Ben. It's funny when you look back at that was the thing of the time when people were starting to try and use alternate media to fill in the gaps between movies. Everything has been tried. Now streaming is such a powerful platform, and I mean all streaming services are a great way to expand, extend, join, bridge, paper over the cracks, undo your mistakes, redo your mistakes. Disney having its own and the second most popular service on the planet, this was always going to be the way it would be. The fact that they're doing it quite well, I'm very pleased about. Because I wasn't sure before WandaVision. I had a lot of nerves about this, and one episode in, I sat back and was like, oh no, it's okay. You know, Daddy Feige is holding me tight. I can feel his invisible arms around me. All will be well.
Yeah, I think that comment is also linked to Irish Bear's one, which is I hope that watching the TV show is a benefit, not a hindrance. Or not a requirement kind of thing, which is which is what my point is kind of like, what information are they going to put into the next movie that they deem important enough that you can't live without. I'll be interested in I'll follow up on that probably on social media.
Well,
going like, oh, they couldn't leave, the clock.
I'm looking forward to that. And it was Tara Strong that voiced Miss Minutes, the clock. So yes, thank you. I said Armstrong, I think, but I got close. My brain is addled. I am old and weary and blind, and whatever the line from that movie was. Paul, I'm going to push you because I've just looked at the clock, and I want to make sure that we get one other thing in before we go. I'm going to push you for a yay or nay on Loki. If we were actual YouTube internet-y people, we would give it a rating or something. I think we should just say whether or not yay or nay to it. I'm giving Loki a yay. I'm saying people should watch it. No matter what we've just done, I think we were pulling at it because we love it. We were like, this was good and it could have been even better.
Well, this is and the thing that we're focusing on is literally the last episode. We're not like as I said before, the third episode, it felt like it really slowed down, but it felt like that because they needed to build it's the train. It's where they had to build a relationship between Enchantress and Loki because we need them to fall in love, and you can't do that when you're essentially like cutting between loads of action and stuff. So you need an episode specifically dedicated towards their relationship, and then you need a scene, a long prolonged time within that episode to then allow them to be personal, kind of thing. So like, although I felt like I was going to die because it was so long, my writer brain and storyteller brain was just like, this is all necessary.
I weirdly enjoyed that episode. That was one of the ones, and I was ready for that kind of slow down and breathe between them all, because there were a couple of characters that like you say, it was necessary, but I enjoyed it. I felt it was necessary for me as a viewer also, which was nice.
I felt like they put on the brakes, and it shunted me a little bit. Like, as I said, I knew why they were doing it.
Yeah.
But as a watcher, I was kind of just like, this is a lot slower than the pace that we're used to.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. We have been in this train for far too long, kind of thing.
Consistency of pacing, from episode to episode, not their strong suit. Because you can then take the episode after that and go, whoa, Carnival. Like, things get weirder. And actually, that's why I have a few variants on screen right now. Just to call out some of the last fun stuff. One of the reasons that you should watch this, we've gone through a lot of the negatives, but I think they did a really good job keeping things not just intriguing, but also fun. I think Owen Wilson did well. I think what he was given to do, he did well, but it was also smart stuff. from an enjoyment point of view, from an entertainment point of view. Just going for it and dipping hard into the Loki variants in the way they did and going, right, we're going to do the episode where we really dive into this. I thought it was worth it. It was like, right, we're all over the place with pace anyway, as you've just pointed out. So why not just do this? And, Richard E. Grant showing up. I got to say, the kid playing Kid Loki, yeah, I don't know. I hate picking on young actors, but enough said. It was good though. It was an entertaining show. It wasn't all just for the hardcore fans. I think anybody could watch this with a modicum of knowledge about Loki, and I mean just a small amount, get into it and they'd enjoy it. I would almost say that you could use this as your gateway to the MCU and still get away with it, which I would usually have said on paper, that seems crazy. But I think this is entertaining enough and intriguing enough that it would make you want to know more. It'd be a tricky one. It's not the one I would suggest to anyone, but it wouldn't preclude you. Whereas WandaVision, I think that'd be almost a tougher sell if it was the first thing you were ever to see from Marvel.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I would suggest. I
wouldn't suggest it. Don't put that on me. This would
Okay.
be like my second last suggestion, but it wouldn't be my last.
Okay, if I don't think I will go completely the opposite and say that I don't think this would be a good introduction to the Marvel.
I don't think it would be a good introduction either.
Like I don't think
Quite literally, I said I definitely don't. Don't put that in my mouth because the internet will kill me. I said you could. Like that's how. That's how impressive it is. I wouldn't recommend it. I cannot emphasize this enough. Watch the playback. I'm being very specific because people will kill me.
I don't think you could.
Okay. I think there's enough entertainment and intrigue in there that it would keep people curious.
I think this would be the equivalent of a person watching one of the craziest animes that you possibly could as an introduction to anime.
Right.
I don't think this is a good place. I don't think this could be a good introduction.
You don't think it could work? Okay, fair enough. I'm saying is it's impressive that I even think at the most extreme end of things, like it could possibly. It's got enough entertainment in it that I think you could watch it, if you didn't have anything there. So again, not an important point, but it's one more thing I will give the show. It kept enough entertainment in there for everybody. And now, don't get me wrong, we've got to talk about the other ones. And Paul, let's get to it before we run out of time. Where this sits when it comes to Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, where do things land for you as to top, middle, and bottom of the three so far?
I'm putting this last.
You're putting Loki last.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm doing that is because there's just not enough of it.
Okay.
Like I don't feel fulfilled at all.
Okay.
I really don't. Like it's really good. Like there's no possible way that I don't think it's in any way good. But out of the other three, like the other two, it is definitely not. Like I felt full when I finished Falcon. I felt full when I finished WandaVision. I do not feel full. If they had maybe one more episode,
you're hungry.
Like I maybe and it's not a good one. I don't feel like I'm satisfied even with, it's not a good taste in my mouth kind of thing. It's more than I'm just sitting there going like, great, you have me for season 2. I don't enjoy this wait, and it's not because I'm really excited. It's because you've left me in the weird dark void.
Gotcha. And we just had a small jump in your internet there. So sorry if it could have been on my side. I don't know how that came across to everybody else. Now, Paul, if Loki's last, what's second and first? So that's your bronze medal. Where's your silver and gold?
I'm gonna go. Oh, see, this is difficult. I'm gonna say WandaVision is second, but it's real close to Falcon. It's because Falcon probably made me like Falcon.
which is a tough gig.
Yeah, like they really sold me And I think that was the hardest thing that they could like. I already liked Wanda. I already liked Wanda. I already liked Vision. I already liked like Darcy, and I like so many characters already in WandaVision. An introduction of already good like introduction of characters based on characters I already like. I think that it was just like you're shooting fish in a barrel. I'm going to enjoy this. You're already starting with the character that I'm not over. Like I liked Falcon's interaction with Cap and Winter Soldier, but making him the star of the show when you've got Winter Soldier there, I was kind of like, this is going to be difficult for you because I already like the other character way more, and you're like, he's your title character. I know Winter Soldier is also the title, but Falcon is literally the main character. He is the one taking up the shields, and like for them to do that, turn me around on the character, make me go, yeah, I like this character now. I really can't wait to see him in the rest of the Marvel universe and stuff, and see where he goes. Like he's the perfect he's the perfect person to take the shield up.
Color me surprised. That's not what I was expecting, and I can tell you why. Because my rating would be very very different. I don't think any of our positions would match. In fact, I'm gonna absolutely pick WandaVision as the top for me. WandaVision remains the best for. Okay, if I was to describe the three of them very briefly as to how they interacted with the idea of taking big movie level characters and putting them on a smaller screen, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was an elongated movie. It felt Marvel, it felt movie chopped up that in a way to fit TV that can work very well. That's not a terrible indictment, and it's not a huge complaint either. It's just what it was. Loki felt like an experiment that was done quite well, but still quite experimental in its own way, and really polished, and I really loved it, and I thought it was quirky and out on its own, and that's cool. WandaVision took from the first episode took the concept of we're now going to be able to do this in a serialized form, in episodic format, and we're going to do it in our own interesting and new way. I think it nailed the format, as in it used Disney Plus and what Disney Plus, being a streaming service, afforded it really, really well. That's not the reason I'm putting it number one. I actually think everything from performance, casting, the whole works. I think it was exceptional. I'm not crazy about the last episode or how it didn't wind out the best either. Let's say if we didn't do a review of it, but I think a lot that we said about Loki would actually apply to WandaVision, strangely for me also, as far as how they'd managed their progression.
Mm-hmm.
But it still stands out in its own for me. I think it's an easy number one. I'm putting Loki in second spot because it still gave me something new. It still gave me something great. It has its problems, and we've discussed them at length tonight, but it was still really, really good. Same as you, I am really impressed with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Really liked it. And the biggest achievement is, and I have said this so many times here, getting me to be remotely interested in Sam, Falcon, Captain America is nearly impossible. And they managed it. They did manage it. Now, they did have to put one of my favourite characters along with him. So, Bucky was always there to help me stay engaged. But they really did, as you say, they did a great job of making him just much more interesting, because he was the one I was least interested in the entire MCU. So that's impressive. And Zemo was great. I think having some of those side characters there really helped. But I did not feel I got anything from it that I wouldn't have got from a bunch of scenes over a couple of movies. It felt like it could have been a second subplot or a secondary storyline as part of a larger storyline across 3 movies. And that's the only reason I say it's great. I would put them all in the very, very good category, but that's where I'd rate them. And I'm only doing this because we said we would.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because my only point with Falcon and Winter Soldier, just to add to it, would be the fact that they made something within the MCU like that is would be considered so mundane very interesting.
Mm.
And I keep constantly impressed by the fact that space wizards is not always trumping soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm always consistently surprised that they can constantly, like when Captain America and Winter Soldier came out, I was just like, how are they going to keep me interested in this stuff? Like we just had, like, you know,
Yeah, we
an
had
alien
epic stuff.
race.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so, like I'm like the reason I put it first is because that they've constantly impressed me by the fact that they can bring it straight back to Earth, and they still got me on every single thing, even though like part of my brain is just like, when are we going to see more space wizards? I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, I really can't wait to see, you know, the new suit. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
what, you know, how they redeem like Bucky, you know, more, and you know, kind of thing.
Which
Like, you know,
is really weird when you consider how we feel about the cinematic universe before this. Captain America being one of my favorite movies, like the first Avenger, and it being your least favorite. And you know, and it's for the reason that you've just given. I'm very impressed when we can just enjoy, because I have no natural propensity towards space wizard kind of stuff. It's just part of my leanings and the way I am. But in this case, they did a great job. I'm really glad that the low bar is a 98%, if you know what I mean. I'm really glad that
yeah,
this
yeah,
is,
like
we're choosing between gold, gold, and gold.
yeah,
And speaking of which, because we now have officially run over time, so I can just speak of it and know that we'll go a few minutes over anyway. I'm very, very pumped for what they do next. The What If animated stuff, I've had a secret hankering for that because I love the idea. I love the idea of just taking storytelling and going, what if we just mash some stuff up? What if we just twist
yeah,
some stuff and bend some stuff? But there's a lot of pressure on Hawkeye. I don't think there's pressure on What If, because people will write it off as animation if they don't like it. People will skip it if they're not, you know, if some people just won't watch animation, that's fair enough, that's their choice. But Hawkeye has never had so much pressure on it as a TV show as it does right now. Because none of these three have failed in any sort of way. It's going to be tough when the first one doesn't land.
yeah. But yeah, I get your points. And I don't think, I honest like I don't think it's going to be Hawkeye. I think it could be something else that they decide to do, kind of thing. Because I think Hawkeye is enough of a
Well, the Hawkeye show it's almost through production, I think, as far as I
yeah.
know. So, like,
And
they must be feeling the pressure.
oh yeah, no, I don't envy anyone on that show right now, kind of thing. I'm confident, and I'm not. It's not just confident in Kevin Feige and the people at Marvel, kind of thing. Just Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye. It's already going to be interesting kind of story things of like they've, as I said, they've already made Falcon and Winter Soldier interesting to me, kind of thing. So like having Hawkeye, like it's going to be funny, it's going to be good. Like
I have high
he's
hopes too, but man, I would not swap with them,
no, not at all.
because
Like
somebody's going to have to be the first that doesn't land. Somebody's going to have to not land it. You know, and that's the thing. Even being close, somebody will hit a 95% now and it'll feel like a failure. Like, we're picking on this stuff that we love and we openly think these are all good, yet we're still able to pull them apart and, you know, rank them. So, gosh. Is there
yeah,
anything
like
else after Hawkeye announced yet?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know as the CGC shows, but like yeah, I get your points in the sense it's good. It's a good feeling when the sense of that we're not overly having an argument about about our rankings.
Oh, yeah.
We're kind of just like yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna argue in any way that I feel like you're wrong, you're overly wrong or anything like
Yeah, but
either one of us.
I
It's
know
just,
that you think I'm overly wrong. We've never had to bother discussion.
no, I don't. No, yeah, I guess my polarized kind of personality is always like that, but I'm not in any way kind of going. Like you know, I'm done with this show.
Well,
Get it? You know,
if
I'm just like it comes down to that the quality. When the quality, acting, production value, and story are all fucking fantastic, it becomes more of a personal choice.
oh, yeah.
kind of thing, and then it becomes that X Factor kind of element to it that also changes around.
Yep.
And I think that the next show is going to, because they have to do it with Hawkeye, and Hawkeye's already one of the interesting mundane characters that we've established in the MCU. I'm fine with this. It's the show that isn't based on a character from the MCU. That's the one I'm going to be like, you are like so reaching that bar and not passing it. Like,
It's of course it's actually going to be Miss Marvel. It's going to be that's in production. Kamala Khan, the young Miss Marvel, they're doing that. And it's been cast and is already shooting. There's set photos out there, so that's out there. That could be running on dangerous ground. Because we're doing this, and Paul, someone, not just someone, one of our regular viewers, thank you very much. Ethan, you've called out number 1, Falcon, matching you, Paul. Number 2, Loki. And number 3, WandaVision. So there you go, that's another list. Ben's making the inevitable Doctor Who joke that I was going to make earlier on and I decided not to. Now I regret it because, yes, it does fit. Also, I love that Irish Bowers just said, what if Star Trek and Fast and the Furious were in the same movie? I love a callback. Anybody who doesn't realise that we did an episode that I still can't believe we bothered doing, because it's an affront to all logic in the internet about Star Trek and Fast and Furious. Go check out our video. Ben, obviously in reference for me waiting for something to fail, says, don't worry, Patrick, Fantastic Four isn't coming out for years. Yeah, and there's a long history of Fantastic Four being the poop to hit the fan.
I don't...
Kevin Feige will get it right.
Don't agree with that statement. I think the first one was fine. I think it was grand. I think it actually, if they were just like, we're just folding that in, we're just going to get all the original characters from that first one, going to ignore the second one, the Silver Surfer one, and then that god awful one that I thought was slow, and then it turns out
the Josh Trank one. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah. I was sitting there going like, oh man, the dialogue is so slow, and I realized that I was watching it at 0.75% of speed, and then I put it back up to normal, and it was just like, it's still slow.
Yeah, like, but proving that the multiverse may well exist just in Hollywood, we rated our Marvel villains and talked about Michael B. Jordan's brilliant portrayal and awesome character of Killmonger. What did he once play as part of the Fantastic Four? And let's face it, Chris Evans has made a pretty fantastic career for himself as Captain America. And he is also an ex-alum of the Fantastic Four, strangely on fire. So yeah, it's a weird one. I wonder what will happen next. Whoever they cast next in the next Fantastic Four must be thinking, if this goes wrong, I wonder if I'll be the reimagining of Tony Stark in a few years.
I want to see who they get for Doom. That's all I want. I want to see who they get for Doctor Doom. That's going to be the biggest thing. Whoever they get, if they're going to decide to go to Doctor Doom first, that's going to be a big thing, because Doctor Doom is such a villain in the Marvel universe.
Well,
alone.
I you know what? We should do a Fantastic Four casting. We actually did, I think.
Yes.
We did. About a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago now. We're going to have to head to wrap up, but we've gone so madly over that I'm going to put it on. If you're still listening and you're still out there, Ben, Irish, you two have been great in the chat, going flat out. Ethan's already given his rating. I would love to know your 1, 2, and 3 on Falcon, Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. So if you get your fingers typing in there while we do all our other talk and speaking, we'll see it come up before the end and we'll go back to it. So Paul, we're hopeful, we're happy. Disney Plus is working. Disney Plus Marvel is working out. It's working out well. It's taking nothing away from the cinematic universe. It's adding quite a lot. I can probably not say the same for Black Widow the movie, but that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. Have you seen it yet? It's interesting. It is interesting, and it's great in many, many ways, and it's not in many, many ways. It's one of those perfect, yeah. There's so much up and so much down, it's not even funny. But we've got a long future ahead of us, thanks to Kevin Feige and co, of waiting for the wheels to come off. I think we're going to be waiting for quite a long time. Because if they can do this, they can do anything. And what they've done 3 shows in a row is bloody impressive.
I think, yeah. Yeah, like that's. I think we talked about it before that they've built up so much capital right now that if they were to fail like a little bit in one of the movies or in a few of the movies, I think they've built up enough capital that we'd be just like, let's coast on through, buddy, kind of thing. Which is that kind of thing.
And
so,
cheers, Brew. By the way, Brew is off. He stuck with us the whole time, and I know he hasn't watched any of this stuff, so I really, really appreciate it.
We should get Brew to sit
North.
down. We should get Brew to sit down and. And watch them all with us and get his view on all of them. We'll live tweet us.
that would be great. I'm going to say, just because we said we get back to it, Falcon's your favourite, WandaVision second, Loki third, Wanda, Loki, Falcon. Oh, Ben matches me. I feel like I should say Yahtzee or Kerplunk or something, or Snap.
Irish matches with me.
Exactly. So and look, there is no right or wrong order, and I think we're all grateful that they were all quite good. May they all keep coming. I think if What If turns out well, you'll definitely be hearing us talk about it, because the concept of doing that is brave, interesting, and exciting. We may well do something on the Phase 5 predictions, Ethan, but for now, we've got to get out of here, let you all get back to your lives. If you're watching in the future, people, hit that like, hit subscribe, maybe share to your friends, but definitely get into the comments. All of you who have watched this live and are in the comments, please hit like. Please continue to support us, because you've been so brilliant so far. And please interact as much as you want, even after this. Give us your ideas. We've already done a few of your user-suggested ideas or viewer-suggested ideas. We'll be doing some more.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, we've got a couple coming down the road, and let us know what you overly thought in the comments if you're watching this on demand. Let us know what you thought of Loki, and your rankings of Loki, WandaVision, and Falcon, which is we'll do some shout outs in a minute, which is I'd be interested in seeing what your predictions, which is of villains that they're going to go with. With the What If thing, you were talking about with What If, because Killmonger's in the trailer, and with the multiverse thing, I am really happy that there's a possibility that Killmonger will be coming back, because he was like we did a villain ranking, and he is one of the most. He is controversially near the top and near the middle kind of thing. So like
folks are needing to get out of here, and I want to call out something just before everybody goes. A shout out to the lads at Homebrew, which Paul is part of. Paul, you're still above me. I should actually change to the other screen. Hit the wrong button there for a second. Paul is a part of all that goodness. I want all the people over at Homebrew D&D to know that, Paul, I don't think you added the links to the description last week. Add them there, add them here. Next week we're going to do your plug up front at the start of the show. We will see you soon. Paul's taking a note. I can see him writing with a pen. Definitely do check out. It's D&D and D&D and beers. Homebrew Quest on YouTube. Paul, walk us out of here, my friend.
So, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, which could share us out. Which is, I've been Paul.
I've been Patrick.
And we've been Hear Us Out.
And this was our most disorganized show yet. Join us next week to see how much we can top this.